Hello YouTube, Sandre here. Let me just remind you before we start that you should click that fucking bell, otherwise YouTube may not notify you of my videos. Anyway, let's begin. I'm gonna take on a video that's several years old now, but it has almost 200,000 views, and it actually has more likes than dislikes, believe it or not. So you know what? I think I'm gonna respond to this. Anyway, let's begin.
The Earth. Is it really just a big ball floating in space? Or, shh, the Earth is flat.
You're a moron.
And maybe it's completely still, just like we experience. And maybe the sun isn't big, but is very small and very close, and not illuminating the Earth from 93 million miles, but is illuminating locally.
Okay. You do realize that if the Earth really was flat, and this is your model of the sun, even during so-called nighttime, you should still be able to see the sun. I mean, look, people on the other side of the globe. Sorry, slip of the tongue. On the other side of the Earth, they would still be able to see the sun. There's nothing blocking the sun from them. I mean, for fuck's sake, we have just begun and we have already discovered a critical flaw in your flat Earth model.
Oh man, and watch how this sun comes at you. Boom! I mean, come on. And that's all perspective. If you look at jet trails, Google Images, you'll see them, they start out low at the horizon, they come up overhead, look at that thing. They come up overhead and then they go down to the horizon.
I don't really understand why you're showing that footage, to be honest. I'm sorry, I legitimately don't understand what the fuck the point is of this. You have some condensation clouds, because that's what jet trails are. You may call them chemtrails, but they are jet trails. Forming a line, and that line just happens to be the same line that the sun is following. Are you trying to argue that people make chemtrails so the sun knows which way to go? What? I'm sorry, I really don't understand whatever fucking insane point you're trying to make here. It makes no sense.
Okay, back to the Copernican principle, and this is what they tell us. The sun is 93 million miles away. Now, I'm going to show you evidence through sunsets that shows the sun light following the sun over the horizon, and it shrinks as it goes over. Now, there's no way it would do that if the sun is 93 million miles away. Okay, first I'm going to show you some footage from the ISS. Okay, now watch this animation. Watch this sunset. Now this is exactly, if they came to me and said, do an animation, this is how I would do it. If the sun were 93 million miles away. Just like that. Have the whole horizon fade evenly. But that's not what we see. Okay, wow, look at that. Look how the light lifts off the ground like a big wedge, or like lifting up a sheet of paper. That's incredible footage.
You do realize that from that altitude, of course, the horizon is going to seem to fade evenly. Alright, let me explain this to you. For instance, the main reason why the sky appears to be blue during the day is because light is scattered in a certain way coming in from the sun in our atmosphere. These effects, thanks to our atmosphere, are pretty much eliminated when you're viewing the sun from space.
Next 3 slides, I'm going to do a comparison, a side by side. The one on the left, the camera's above the clouds. The camera on the right is ground level. And the point for the side by side comparison from the ground level and the level above the clouds is that above the clouds we're only maybe a mile or so up. And if the sun appears to be closer to the camera, well, that means it's probably much closer, because if the sun were 93 million miles away, a mile closer wouldn't make any difference at all to its visual appearance.
Okay, the sun isn't actually bigger, or closer rather, in the footage that you're showing here above the clouds. The reason it appears to be bigger or closer is because of camera flare. I mean, seriously, do you know anything about how cameras work?
Okay, here's a little illustrator or a little cartoon from a website called timeanddate.com. You'll notice that it rises from below the horizon and sets below the horizon. Now you might be saying, well, how's that possible? I can see now you're saying that it rises and lowers due to perspective, but how does it disappear below the horizon? Because of the fact that all parallel lines and planes converge at your eye level horizon. This is according to the perspective. I'm not making this up. If in fact, and they do, they converge at your eye level horizon visually, then it makes sense that after that point they diverge, meaning they then separate. So the sun would continue on a downward track.
Oh my god, you fucking moron. The reason things look bigger when they're closer to us is because they take up a bigger percentage of our field of vision. Let me demonstrate this in 2D for you. When something is further away, it takes up a lesser percentage of our field of vision. There is no point where these lines you're talking about ever converge. If you're looking down a road, the two sides of the road get ever closer to each other from your perspective, but they never actually meet. The road just keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. This is like basic optics that anyone would know just from being alive.
Okay, and finally I want to show you some examples of local illumination, or a city in the background. This is from Grand Canyon National Park. You can see Las Vegas is one of them, and it's just to show it looks just like the sun going over the horizon. That's the point of me showing that.
I'm sorry, what? How can you say these two look the same? They don't. The city lights are obviously separated, and when it comes to the actual sunset, it takes up the whole fucking horizon. Alright, you know what? I've had enough. I'm not gonna go through this anymore. This is just too fucking painful at this point. You, sir, have failed to demonstrate anything. Even a child will understand that you're full of shit. Anyway, that's all, folks. Thank you for watching. Bye!